It's strange how you can sleep for 8 hours and still wake up feeling tired. Not physically exhausted exactly, but heavy, slow, unclear. And then there are days when you sleep less and somehow feel more awake. Not just in your body, but in your mind. Like something inside you reset, even though you rested less. Imagine a quiet night. You go to bed early. No distractions. No scrolling. No noise. You expect to wake up refreshed. But morning comes, and your body feels distant. Your thoughts feel foggy. Even simple things take effort. Now imagine another night. You sleep fewer hours. Maybe not perfectly. Maybe even a little restless. But you wake up, lighter, more present, more aware, as if your mind arrived before your body had time to catch up. Nothing about the hours makes sense. We like to believe rest is simple. Sleep more, feel better. Sleep less, feel worse. But human behavior rarely follows straight lines. Because at the same time we want deep rest, we also want control over our time. We want to feel productive without feeling drained. We want to be efficient without sacrificing clarity. And somewhere in between, we begin to wonder if rest is really about time at all. There's a quiet truth most people avoid noticing. Feeling rested is not just about how long you sleep. It's about how your mind lets go. Because you can lie still for hours and never truly rest. And you can sleep briefly, yet feel restored. The difference isn't always physical. Sometimes it's psychological. In simple terms, the brain doesn't measure rest the way we think it does. It doesn't just count hours. It responds to depth, rhythm, and emotional release. When you fall asleep while still carrying tension, unfinished thoughts, quiet stress, your body may rest, but your mind stays partially alert, not fully awake, but not fully at ease either. And that subtle alertness lingers into the morning. Some psychological research suggests that perceived sleep quality often matters more than total sleep time. In other words, how rested you feel doesn't always match how long you slept. People who believe they slept well tend to perform better, even when their sleep duration is shorter. And those who expect to feel tired often do, not because the body failed, but because the mind never truly disengaged. There's something deeper underneath this. A quiet pattern in how we live. We don't just carry our days into the night, we carry our unfinished selves. Unspoken worries, small regrets, things we didn't process, and when we finally lie down, the body becomes still, but the mind continues, not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to prevent real rest. Over time, this creates a subtle shift. Sleep becomes something we chase instead of something we allow. We monitor it, measure it, try to control it, and in doing so, we add pressure to the very thing that requires release. The consequence is quiet, but noticeable. You start doubting your energy, second-guessing your focus, relying on external signals to tell you how you feel. A certain number of hours means you should feel good. Less than that means something is wrong. But your actual experience becomes disconnected from those expectations, and slowly, you stop trusting your own sense of rest. There's also a social layer to this. We live in a world that treats sleep like a metric. More is healthier, less is dangerous, and while that's often true physically, psychologically, it's incomplete. Because rest is not only recovery, it's permission to pause, to mentally disengage, to not hold everything together for a few hours. And many people never fully give themselves that. This is why the feeling of being well rested can be misunderstood. It's not always about energy. Sometimes it's about clarity, the absence of mental noise, the absence of internal resistance. You wake up and your thoughts feel aligned instead of scattered, not because you slept longer, but because your mind finally softened. And when that happens, even briefly, less sleep can feel like enough. Not because the body doesn't need rest, but because the mind stopped interfering with it. There's something quietly philosophical about this. Rest is one of the few experiences that cannot be forced. The more you try to control it, the more it slips away. The more you demand a certain outcome, the less natural it becomes. Because real rest is not something you achieve, it's something that happens when you stop holding on. And maybe that's the deeper realization. You don't always feel refreshed because you slept longer. Sometimes you feel refreshed because, for a few hours, you weren't carrying yourself anymore. Not your thoughts, not your expectations, not your quiet pressures, just stillness. And in a world where we rarely put ourselves down completely, even a small moment of that can feel like enough.